what are the advantages. So yesterday we saw a few things like what are the advantages of learning Azure Data Factory, what are the job opportunities available in the market for Azure Data Factory, and what are the prerequisites, okay, so, for learning Azure Data Factory, these kind of things along with the course contents. So I will just brief them in a few minutes. Okay, so with respect to Azure Data Factory, the only prerequisite is to know some amount of SQL. Other than that, there is no other prerequisites. Okay, but the more you know, the better salary you get. Other than SQL, there is a combination of Data Factory being asked with Power BI, SSIS, SQL, even the Databricks. For Databricks, you need to know either PySpark or Scala. That's a different thing altogether. But even along with the Data Factory, there are a good number of jobs. Yesterday, I opened Naukri and showed to people with Data Factory, either alone Data Factory or in combination with other tools. There are more than 20,000 jobs in the market as on today. And the salary range for Azure Data Factory will be something around 3 lakhs to 25 lakhs. That's what we have seen based on our experience and capabilities. Okay, that's the general range. Sometimes people may even get more than 25 based on what other skills you know. This is the with respect to the job opportunities and prerequisites. Any questions there? Yes, we have seen it in detail around some 15 minutes and discussed on it. But I don't want to repeat the same thing because many people who joined yesterday are also here today. Any questions regarding this one? If you have questions, we can discuss. Otherwise, I will proceed. Yeah, please feel free to stop me if you have any questions. You can just ping in the chat. I will try to answer all your questions immediately. And the first 3 to 4 days will be going a bit slow. After 3 to 4 days, we will be having a full-fledged 1 hour in the normal pace. Most of the time, we'll be going hands-on. There will be very less theory, except for the first few days. It will be completely hands-on kind of a thing. I will be doing everything and showing it to you, and you are expected to do the same thing or similar thing out of the session. In the next day, you can come to the session and ask me if you have questions. Okay, and these sessions are for 30 hours, so weekly 5 days, so it will be approximately 5 to 6 weeks going on. So it will be plus or minus 30 hours will be the number of sessions. Let me share the screen and show the course content to you. This also we covered yesterday, but for the sake of people who joined today, I will just quickly walk through the course contents. Okay, so we'll see where Azure stands in the market with respect to the cloud environments, what the different types of cloud services available, and how to subscribe and get free subscription to Azure. This is what we are going to see. What are the different kinds of components available in Azure and what are the services available in Azure. Okay, we'll also create some resources or components, and we will go into depths of some of them. We will only see a overview of some of them. Okay, we'll understand what is subscription, what is resource group, why should you use this resource group, what is Azure Active Directory, what are the different types of computes available, like the Databricks and the virtual machine, this kind of compute. And we'll also see the storage, the data lake, blob storage, SQL, and other things. So we'll understand the difference between the data lake and the blob storage. Then we will go to the most important components of this course, the data management. In the data management, we will be seeing about Data Factory version 2, what is logic apps, what is Databricks, and we'll also give you an introduction to Synapse and Cosmos DB. And when it comes to security, we will look into Azure Key Vault. So why should you use Azure Key Vault? What are secrets? How do you store your secrets? What happens if you don't store the secret in Azure Key Vault and directly place them in Data Factory? These kind of things we'll be showing. Then we also will look at the Azure DevOps. Okay, in the DevOps there are many things altogether. The DevOps itself can become a entire course altogether. Okay, but we are not going to cover DevOps as a course. We will only see an introduction to all these things. Whereas with respect to repositories, we'll understand why these repositories are used and how to integrate the Azure repositories with the Data Factory. How do you publish and how do you create branches? What are the deployment strategies? These kind of things we'll be covering with respect to Azure DevOps. So if you want to go into DevOps in detail, that entire DevOps itself can become a full-fledged course, but we want to mainly focus on Azure repositories, which are the version control mechanism for Data Factory. Okay. In Data Factory also you have something called as pipelines. These pipelines are different from the Azure DevOps pipelines. Okay. In Data Factory, we will almost cover each and every topic in detail, like water pipelines, activities, triggers, okay, data sets, linked services, how do you pass parameters, what are variables, what is the difference between this parameter and variable. At the runtime, dynamically, if you want to parameterize something, how can you do it? What are the advantages of dynamically passing the parameters at the runtime? Okay, and what are the different integration runtimes available? What are data flows and what is a Power Query within the Data Factory? These all things will be looking into it. We'll also cover some real-time scenarios with examples how to copy data from different locations. Okay, and we'll see what is the structure in which the data is stored in the real time. These kind of things. Also we'll cover some real-time scenarios and examples. Any questions? If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Good. Okay, so when it comes to Azure, Azure stands second in the cloud market with respect to the market capital, okay, or the market share. So what stands first is AWS, Azure Web Services. Even though Azure stands second in the market as on date, with respect to growth rate, Azure is first and AWS is second. So the important reason why AWS is standing first is mainly because AWS has come almost 8 years prior to Microsoft into the market. Okay, so after AWS, Google came up with something called as GCP. Okay, this is Amazon coming up with AWS. Google has come up with GCP, and then Microsoft has come up with Azure. Okay, so first one is the AWS into market, then Google Cloud or the GCP and Microsoft Azure both came in the same year with few months difference into the market. Even though Google came a few months earlier than Microsoft, there is a huge difference in the market cap between GCP and Microsoft Azure. Okay, so Azure stands second position, GCP is in third position with respect to market cap, and with respect to the speed of growth, Microsoft Azure is first. Okay, there are more than 200 plus services in Azure. So out of the 200 plus services, we are mainly focusing on the ETL part, which is mainly the data factory, extract, transform, and load. Okay. So data factory mainly acts as a ETL tool, extract, transform, and load. There are other services which we'll see in introduction. And coming to Mahesh's question, any scripting knowledge is required? No, you don't need require any scripting knowledge, but if you know PowerShell scripting, that's the added advantage. Only added advantage, but you don't need PowerShell for learning data factory. Okay, does that answer your question, Mahesh? Okay, so let's see the Azure. Okay, so if you just type azure.com, it will take you to this site, azure.microsoft.com, and you can see what are all the services available in Azure. Okay, there are 200 plus services available in Azure. You can have a look at all of them, what it is, and what are the different kinds of services. Okay, HD Insights, these are all computes. In the compute, you have the Azure Quantum, Batch, Cloud Services, SQL Server on virtual machines, Azure Virtual Desktop, so on. You have different kinds of these things. Containers are mainly for deployments, like Azure Kubernetes services. Okay, mainly Kubernetes is used for deployments. Other containers are also there. So you can see this Azure functions and few other things in different other locations as well, like because the same thing can be used for multiple purposes. Okay, say you find the Azure SQL database here, and you find the Azure SQL database in compute as well. Okay, because the same thing can be used for SQL Server on virtual machines. Here also you can see the SQL Server or the Azure SQL, which are similar, because the same thing, Azure SQL Server or Azure virtual machines in the databases as well as in the compute, because the same thing can be used for multiple purposes. So when the same thing can be used for multiple purposes, we can see it in different locations. Okay, so there are all the different services that are available. Using these services, you can literally do almost everything. Even the mobile applications are also available. Okay, this keyword is for security. We will mainly focus on this keyword, why this keyword is needed, and other things. There are also other security tools like Azure Firewall and other things. We will also get an introduction to the Azure Firewall when we install SQL. Okay, we'll also create and use SQL. So these are all the different services available. Let's move back to the home page. So you can see you can try Azure for up to 30 days free of cost, and there are few services which you will get always free. See, start building on Azure for free. You can just click on it and see the popular services that you will get free for 12 months. There are few services which are always free. Okay, you can see all the free services here, and you can see whether you get it free forever or free for 12 months. Okay, so you can see, but even though they say they are free, there is a limit. Say for example, for the Azure Data Factory, the Data Factory, you will get only 5 activities free of cost. Okay, but your pipelines might contain more than 5 activities. We will understand what these activities are, don't worry. So your pipeline might contain more than 5 activities, but still that will be deducted from your excuse me, from your credits. When you register for the first time, you are going to get some free credits of some $100 or $200 based on the way you register it. Okay, you can just click on start free, and it will ask you to create one Microsoft account if you are already one. If you don't have Microsoft account, you can create one. If you have Microsoft account, it will ask you to give your Microsoft account details. After giving the Microsoft account details, it will ask you or prompt you to give a credit card. Okay, you should have a credit card number and a valid phone number. It will deduct a nominal 1 rupee or 2 rupees, which also will be returned back to you at a later point in time, just to validate your credit card. Okay, that's how you can get the Azure free account for 1 or 2 months. Okay, once the actual session starts, I can show you how to get this one, the free accounts. Okay, for now, let me log into my accounts. So for the sake of people who joined today, let me introduce myself. I am Ram Grandi. Sorry. So I am Ram Grandi. I have around 12 plus years of experience into IT industry, out of which since the past 5 plus years, I've been working on Azure as a Azure data engineer. Okay. So, and I am also a Microsoft certified trainer, as well as I have completed a number of certifications in Microsoft. Okay. So that's about me. And when it comes to the Azure portal, portal.azure.com is the one with which you log in. After you log in, you will find a similar homepage. Let me explain each of these things. So this is where you find the notifications. If there are any notifications, it will show up here. Okay, so this is the balance credit that I have for this month. Okay, I can dismiss this notification. And also the settings, you can click on this one to see the settings. If you need any help, you can click on this one. You can filter the resources and apply the filters here and see only certain resources or certain subscriptions. There are also something called as subscriptions. We'll understand what the subscriptions are. Okay, and you can see how it should appear at the starting, like docked. If you say docked and click on apply, it will be here always. If you say fly out and apply, that will not be there. Only when you click on this one, it will come out. Okay, so there are also different themes which you can apply, and that particular theme will be showing up. Okay, by default, it will come with a Azure theme. Okay, and you can also use the high contrast themes based on your interest. Okay, so at the starting, whether you should see the home page or the dashboard. Okay, so dashboard will be something different. So this is a dashboard. This is mainly for the people who are in the management kind of thing. They will be able to see the metrics and other things. You can add and change things in the dashboard. Like you can just click on edit and add whatever you want into the dashboard. Like whether you want to see users, you can see the users and groups. Okay, or if you want to see something like security metrics, you can see. Okay, so on. If you want to remove something from the dashboard, you can do that thing as well. Okay, say now I want to remove this. Click on edit, click on remove. That will be removed from dashboard. You can just move it the way you want and arrange it the way you want. Okay, let me go to settings and click on the appearance and startup. I want to see the home page. If it is the home page, in the home page, generally you will see the recently opened Azure services. and recently opened Azure resources. So services are the at a higher level, like storage accounts, data factories. These are all the services. Recently opened resources. This is a data factory only, but this is the particular data factory that which I opened. There can be more than one data factory. So this is a storage account. Which particular storage account I opened will be stored here. Okay, the recently opened resource is this one. So recently opened resources and services and recently used resources. And these services by default, when you log in for the first time, are generally random. Yeah, there is no guarantee that the particular service will show up there. Okay, but as you keep on using, based on your usage, the services that show up here change. More frequently used services will be populated here. Okay, and if you want to see other services, you can just click on this more services and it will show up all the list of services available. Okay, you can favorite something, you can remove something from the favorite. Say for example, I want to remove Kubernetes from the favorite services. Just click on that one and that will go up from the favorite services. Say now you can see these are all the favorite services. Okay, when I click on this thing, these three buttons, three dashbars, so it will show the list of favorites that you have. If you want to change the favorites, you can always change the favorites. Okay, by adding something to the favorites. Say in compute, say for example, I want to add this Citrix virtual desktop into the favorites. Just click on star and it will show up there. See, it's showing up here. Now if I want to remove it, just click on the star here, either from here or directly go there and click on it. Either ways, if you remove the star, that will be going out from the favorites. If you click on the star again, that will show up in the favorites. You can search for a service either by typing here like virtual machines. What are all the virtual, anything that starts with virtual will show up. Okay, or you can also go here and type the for the particular service or resource that you want. Either ways you can search. Okay, if you know what exactly you want, you can directly go there as well. Go to all services, go to whatever the location you want and search for it. If you don't know the service name, but you only know what the type of service that you want, say for example, you want to perform some compute operations, just go to compute and it will show the list of available compute services. You can use whatever you want based on the type of service that you want. That way also is fine. And there is also something called as Azure Marketplace. Okay, where the third party people add their services. You can also look into it and you can use their things as well. So coming to the different tools, we have something called as Microsoft Learn, where you will find a lot of resources for learning. Okay, say for example, if you want to learn something about Azure Data Factory itself, see Azure Data Factory. So introduction to Azure Data Factory, and there are many things that you can see about data integration with Azure Data Factory, running notebooks with Azure Data Factory, so on. These kind of many things will be available. Okay, say if you want to learn something about the Kubernetes, for example, Kubernetes versus Docker, both are containers only, but which container do you want to use? You want to search about it. Okay, you can see introduction to Kubernetes. Wherever Kubernetes is there, it will just show up. Of course, yeah, this is about Docker and Kubernetes. You can see what's the Kubernetes and what's the Docker, how they are different and other things. Okay, so on. And you can also get to see about other useful links like the technical documentation of the Azure. Okay, you can see the entire documentation of the Azure for whatever the uh, resource you want. You can have a look at it. Okay, and different other Azure services which we already had a look. And what are the recent updates that happened to Azure? This is very important. If you want to see and keep up to the space in the markets, then you can see what are all the updates that happened in the Azure. Okay, here from this location. Okay, if it is this symbol, it is already available. This is in preview. This is in development. You can see this is public preview. There are two kinds of previews: a private preview and public preview. The private preview only if you have enrolled for a preview and Microsoft releases it to you personally, you will be able to see it. Okay, it releases on uh, account to account basis to few accounts when it's in private preview after you uh, request for uh, seeing the preview of things. Okay, then public preview, it will be shown to everyone, but it will come up with a message saying that it is in preview. Then it is so called the generally available. Generally available means it is available for everyone, and when you are using things in production, you are expected to use only those which are generally available. Anything which is in preview, you are not supposed to use it in production, especially because you never know when it can break. There are chances that anything which is in preview might stop working. Okay, so Node.js is available now. So Azure Sql, there are monthly updates happening. Okay, in August, what are the updates? If you want, you can just click on it and see what updates have happened. Okay, so these kind of updates you can see even for the previous versions and previous updates also you can see. Just on August, there are many updates. You can see many updates happening almost uh, every day or so. Okay, so many updates are happening. August 17th, 16th, 15th, then 11, 10, 8. Okay, what are updates happening? You can see it. So this is called Azure Monitor. This can be used separately or in Data Factory as well. We will see how this Azure Monitor can be used in Data Factory. Of course, this can be used as an individual separate thing as well. But will be this is a tool which is also seen in the Data Factory. The same Azure Monitor which is outside also is embedded within the Data Factory so that you can use the uh, same services of the Azure Monitor. Okay, then cost management. When you want to optimize something, okay, you can see how much cost it is happening. See, cost analysis. It shows you how much cost is happening for each resource in uh, the certain date range. Okay, and so that you can understand where you can reduce the cost or why something is having more cost. Okay, and there is also something called as advisor recommendations. uh, of course there is nothing for us here, but in the real time when you are using it on a use scale, it will show some recommendations like what you can do to reduce the cost. Okay, you can also see the billing and other things. When you have the invoices, it will show up here. But these cost analysis and advisor recommendations will be very helpful and useful. And there is also something called as cost alerts. When a particular threshold is reached, if you want to get something as an email, you can just send a alert, add budget. You can create budget, and for this so and so month, this much amount, and after that it will send a email or something as per your needs. Okay, create budget and then set alerts. You will get the uh, alert mail. Okay, so let's not go into those things in detail. That's not needed. Azure subscriptions. So each person can have any number of subscriptions. So what is a subscription? When you create a Azure account, that is called as a subscription. So each person need not have only one subscription. They can have any number of subscriptions. Say, for example, you get a free subscription. Along with that, you also uh, have your office subscription in your office or in your organization. You have a subscription which also can be added to the same email ID. Okay, so then you have two subscriptions. Or if you are a student, then you can get a free subscription with your college email ID. So that way also you can get free subscription. Or if you are using Visual Studio, enterprise edition or premium edition, along with that you will get free Azure credits. That way also you can get one subscription. So more than one subscription might be there for the same account or email ID. Then you can see all the list of subscriptions here. Okay, since I have only one, it only shows one here. But if it is my office account, generally it shows two subscriptions there because I have two there. Okay, so you can see all the subscriptions. You can filter them and see what are the budgets and other things for each subscriptions. Okay, so you can see this is in public preview. So cost allocation in brackets, it shows preview. So it is in public preview. So this is also in public preview. Okay. So that way you can see which is in preview and which is generally available. Any questions still there? Okay, assuming no questions. So let's see the most important thing here in Azure, which is the one of the important resource, which is the Active Directory. Okay, so this Active Directory is used to add users and create users, new users, or create groups, roles, other things, to manage permissions, to give permissions, and if you want to share your account with other persons also, that also can be done using this Azure Active Directory only. So there is things called as tenants. So what's a tenant? Tenant is your domain name kind of a thing. Say for example, if you are working for some company named TCS, then your tenant is at .tcs.com. Say for example, for me, it is on Microsoft.com. Okay, so you might have tcs.com. So another person might be working for Wipro, then it will be wipro.com. So both have a client, for example, and they want to have the client resources and your company resources working together. Then your client, say for example, is Bank of America, boa.com, bankofamerica.com. So this Bank of America has a separate tenant. All the users in Bank of America will belong to one tenant, whereas this TCS or Wipro will belong to another tenant. So if you want to use resources from one tenant to another tenant, that is called as cross-tenant things. So these tenants and other things are also managed in the Azure Active Directory only. Whether you should be able to use this cross-tenant services or not, and other things are taken in the Azure Active Directory. So each tenant will have a tenant ID, and with this you are going to use this. So as I told you, you can manage the tenants using the manage tenants option. Okay. So I have another tenant. So this is another tenant and this is another tenant. Okay. So I am using my friend's account, so which shows a different tenant. Okay. So these are other things as well. Let's not go to all the details, but the Active Directory is the one where you can give access to your account or tenant to other people, or other people can give access to you in the similar way. Okay. Any questions there? No questions? Okay. There will be no questions only if you understand everything or if you don't understand anything. I'm not sure if you understood everything or if you did not understand anything. Both ways, I will not be able to know, especially when we are in a virtual environment, we are not able to see each other. Okay. I cannot see your face feelings as well. So I request you to keep posting questions if you have any. Mm. If it is a face-to-face thing, generally we'll be able to see you, and based on that, we'll be able to understand it. Can you repeat about Azure Active Directory? Azure Active Directory uh, is mainly used to give permissions to other people, along with creating users, creating groups, and if you want to manage your own passwords, like if you want to change your password or other things. Okay. And also, if you want to connect to different organizations resources, these kind of things, for these kind of things, Azure Active Directory is used. Okay. There are also something called as app registrations, like if you want to create a new resource for some resources, you are going to have something called as applications. That applications must be registered here first. So those kind of things also you should be able to do it in the Azure Active Directory. Okay. And also there is something called as devices. So these devices will allow you to manage if you have any uh, devices or other kind of things. Okay. So all these things are mainly in Azure Active Directory. See, you can also monitor what is happening. When did you try to log in and whether it is successful or failure instead of 24 hours, say last 7 days. Not just you, anyone else. If you are administrator, you'll be able to see which users logged into the subscription. Okay. And you can also see the audit logs, like in any thing failed, any security breaches, these kind of all these things will be visible in the audit logs. So this Azure Active Directory is mainly for managing permissions and users roles, security kind of thing. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Assuming no questions. See, as I told you, once we clicked on Active Directory and cost management, these two came up here. Previously, these were showing up. Now, since you opened them, these two are showing up here. Okay. So whatever the recently used or most commonly used resources, they will be shown up in the top. Anything else? No coding here. Mostly you would not require any coding, but if you know, not just drag and drop, you will be required to do some kind of simple coding. It's something like a low code, not just zero code. You will be requiring some low code as well. Okay, but that's a very less code. But if you go to Databricks, which can be integrated with Data Factory, there you will be required to code. Azure functions you will be required to code. It depends on what kind of resource you are using, whether you require coding or not within Azure. For Data Factory, it will be low code. It's not absolutely zero, but that doesn't require much coding. It's a low code kind of a thing. Is only ADF enough to get job? As I mentioned, SQL is a prerequisite. Though you are not an expert, you should be at least a medium level guy with respect to SQL. And other than SQL and ADF, the more number of services or technologies you know, the better salary you get. Okay, but if you are fine with any amount of salary, only ADF and SQL are enough. Recently, I learned SQL and Power BI. Yeah, that's a good combination. Yesterday, as I mentioned, if you are not there yesterday, so these days, excuse me, give me a second. I'm sorry. So these days, Narendra, I did not get you. Recently, I learned SQL and Power BI, and no, I'm not sure what is no there. Okay, but if you learn Power BI and SQL, then it's a good combination. Along with that, Data Factory will be a very, very huge added advantage, especially because when you are getting data, okay, so when you are getting data to the Power BI and preparing the dashboards, okay, when you prepare these dashboards or reports, you are only showing the visualization part. But these days, companies are asking from end to end, means getting data from different sources, placing it in the required location, and then transforming and creating visualizations on top of it. This kind of end to end companies are asking. So if you know this end to end, you will get a better salary. Only with Power BI, also you can get job, but if you need this better salary kind of thing, the end to end, okay, and a better job, you will get a better salary and a better job if you know this end to end. Getting the data from different sources, storing it in the required location, and then preparing dashboards or reports on top of it. So this is the end to end. Databricks is required for Power BI job? No, Databricks is not mandatory for Power BI job. Okay, for Power BI job only, again, either for Data Factory or for Power BI, only mandatory thing is SQL. Okay, even for Power BI, SQL is mandatory. Without SQL, you will not be able to sustain even Power BI job. Okay, so if you know this Data Factory, it is a additional advantage for Power BI. Similarly, Power BI is additional advantage for Data Factory. Both are going to be additional advantage for each other. Databricks is not mandatory, but if you want to know Databricks, that will be very huge advantage. But for Databricks, you should be knowing PySpark, Scala, or R, one of these three languages. Okay. So could you please share yesterday and today recorded video? Please get in touch with Mr. Madhurav or someone else from the institute. They'll be able to provide you the video recordings. Okay. I will also share one form with you. That form I request you to fill it. Give me 1 second. I don't have it handy. Let me stop sharing my screen for a while. Okay, I shared a link with you in the chat. Request everyone to fill that form. Okay, with your email ID and phone number, so that the institute team can reach you out to discuss further. You can share your email IDs to them, so that they'll be able to provide you the required recordings as well. Okay. Any other questions? I am from MBA background and I have learned SQL and Power BI recently. Okay, that's good. It doesn't matter which background you are from. Uh, uh, Even the non-technical guys can absolutely get into the Azure Data Factory or ETL tool. It's not that difficult for MBA people to learn Azure Data Factory. Till now, I don't have idea that both ADF and DevOps belongs to Microsoft. Thank you. No, DevOps doesn't belong to Microsoft. Azure DevOps is a variant of Microsoft DevOps. DevOps is mainly used for the deployments purpose, development and operations. It's a combination kind of a thing. But DevOps is not a particular tool kind of a thing. There are many tools in the DevOps umbrella. Azure DevOps is one variant of DevOps. Okay, Azure DevOps is one variant where you can use it to deploy the Azure resources. There are many other variants of DevOps as well. Anything else? Duration of this course, it is 30 days or 30 hours. It will be around 5 to 6 weeks. Okay, if you have questions, you can ask me. Else, we'll close it for today. Tomorrow, we will see how to create resource group and other resources. Can I learn Power BI with Azure Cloud? Certainly, you can learn Power BI with the Data Factory as well. That's a good combination. Can you show the live project, sir? We will be seeing real live scenarios. All the scenarios will be there, but as a end-to-end project, we will not be seeing it, but I will show many real-time scenarios. Will you provide material? I'll be sharing the Data Factory material, which is a huge PDF or book kind of a thing. That book you will be able to use it for your purpose. that will have a exhaustive content, very huge content about Data Factory, and that will be certainly very useful. That I will be doing almost at the end of the sessions. Is there any fast track classes? Means you are asking for daily 2 to 3 hours a day. As of now, we are not planning anything as such. Any other questions? And Narendra, if you are attending this one, I'm not sure why you are looking for fast track, but this thing you are going to learn along with this. You are expected to practice. Unless you practice, it's of no use attending these sessions. Okay. So Sabir has learned data warehouse also. That's good, Sabir. Databricks is covered under this course. Yes, Databricks is covered, but within the Databricks, the coding part is not covered. But we will tell you what is Databricks, how to integrate Databricks with Data Factory, what are the driver nodes, what are worker nodes, okay, what are job clusters, what are interactive clusters, what are the what you see access tokens, and other things with respect to Databricks as well. That all concepts are covered, but within Databricks, if you want to create any transformations using PySpark or R or Scala, that's all not covered. You should be learning a programming language for it. I will, when covering the Databricks, I will tell the list of the 4 programming languages that are covered, okay, that the Databricks supports. Okay, but we'll see, and other than the programming, we'll see Databricks as well. Any other questions? Yeah, tomorrow you will receive another new meeting ID, and you can join with that one. Okay then. Nice talking to you, everyone. Let's connect tomorrow. Please try to join by 8 p.m. Okay. We will start at 8 p.m. from tomorrow or day after tomorrow, based on how many people are joining at 8. Okay. Will you support to get job? Yes. You will be helping you to prepare resume. We can review your resume as well, and also we'll be providing references to you. There are tie-ups with few companies with our institute. Any openings in those companies, it will be we knowing first before they coming to Naukri and other things. We'll refer you to those things. Okay.